Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation through PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Sal. So last week we talked about the effects of child support in the community, and I think we talked largely in what effects it has in totality to our community as far as, the way people think and what drives people to file for child support and things of that nature. This time we're going to take a slightly different turn and actually talk about motivating factors that have to deal with actual cost in raising a child. And so when let me make my stance clear, I am pro child support. I think child support I do think there needs to be some revamping. I think that child support should be based off the needs of the child. I think that child support should be enforced in ways that are that is solution based instead of penalty oriented. And so we'll talk more about that later. But when we talk about the cost of raising a child, we're talking about thousands of dollars. Okay, my household, ourselves, we just paid $7,000 last year when we did taxes in daycare. $7,000. My child does not go to an expensive daycare, and she is 3. So the older children get, the less expensive it is. But just because her child care was about $500 and then plus some other expenses a month, this comes out to $7,000 a month. A year. Okay, a month. I'm only spending $500, but I have an inexpensive yet great daycare facility for my child. Most people that I speak to pay about $800 to $1,000 a month just for quality daycare. So when we talk about the cost of raising a child, we're talking about the cost for daycare, which is the extreme cost immediately. We're also talking about the cost for health care, because when it's just you on a health care plan, it's probably about $200, maybe $300. But then when you add a child, employee plus child, employee plus family is astronomical. It's like $1,000 on that. But employee plus child, it is almost double the money. Of course, there's 2 people on the policy, so that would be the reason why. So now you're talking about daycare and child care alone, $1,000 plus. So when we start, we have not covered food. We have not covered gas and transportation, because you have to drop that person off to their daycare, right? We have not covered lights. We have not covered shelter, which you would be paying more of because your child would need a room or a separate space. Now, some people say, oh, they don't need that initially, but they eventually will, okay? And the custodial parent will have to secure that for them. So we have to be mindful of all those costs. I actually, a while ago, dated a guy who didn't understand why kids cost so much. And I ran down everything I could think of: clothes, food, shoes, things that kids just grow out of initially, like almost, it seems like a monthly basis, And he had no idea. I had a friend of mine, a male friend of mine, who told me, oh, well, daycare only costs $200 because that's how much his sister was paying in Waco, but we don't know the circumstances of that. So I had to start a thread on Facebook, and we got a poll going, and nobody was paying $200 in child care. You know, that's somebody she knew, you know. So anyway, that is the first issue. How much does it cost to take care of a child? So I'll let my other co-host go and answer that question. How much does it really cost to take care of a child?
Hi. That's a good. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. I don't have the exact numbers, but when I look back at all the money I had to spend on my children, it's always been my income. I've always been a single parent for a very long time, so it's always been my income, and it's had to make do. So I'm guessing it had to. I'm not even sure. I don't have the exact number on hand, but I know it equals about the same amount you would pay for a house or a car, you know, because I have two daughters and I had them back to back. They're a year apart, and like you said, they grow out of everything. My daughters are really big now. They grow out of everything. You still have to feed them. You have to think about different types of expenses, like, you know, trips for school and, you know, different miscellaneous things that you don't even think of on the top of your head unless it's like a cost that comes up, you know, like thermometers and, you know, different miscellaneous things that you have to consider for your children because, you know, children always come first. And, you know, if your children has a need, as a parent, you have to step up immediately and meet the needs, financial needs of your child. So if I had to come up with a number, I'll say about to raise a child, probably around like $20,000, I believe, or a little more than that, because depending on the needs of the child, because children's needs fluctuate too. That's another issue. It's like it's not like, oh, it's just $20,000 and that's it. No, it could be $20,000 this year, and it could be like 30 the next year. It's like it fluctuates. So I don't think it's like a steady number, but it's more of it's expensive, very, very expensive. I believe it's the cost of a house. If I was a person with no children and I was to live below my means and save as if I had a child, I would have a lot of money in the bank saved. I think that's how expensive raising children are.
Absolutely. You're absolutely on target. Orthodox Moor, what do you think?
I think the costs are relative, and I'll say it like this. So I'm a child, like I grew up on child support, my father's child support. And my father had 3 different children, different households, etc. I had an older brother living with me from my mother, another father. My father paid $749 a month for me from the mid '80s to the late '90s. So he paid roughly about $100,000 over the course of 12 years for me, 11 years for me. And I could tell you right now that was way more than what I needed. And I'll say it like so he ended up paying for me and my brother to do stuff. Like, so me and my brother ended up going to a Christian private school that cost like $1,200 per semester for both of us to go. And so I'll say it like this. I'm very pro child support in a sense to where it's either done via the court system or done via the like a religious setting and whatnot. To me, it's a sad social commentary that we even have people going to a court system for child support, because most people have like marriage customs that they deal with. Like, the child support system is there because we don't have a dowry system in our culture, our daily culture. Like, that should be something taken care of. Like, that should be part of the whole marriage contract, is what happens if you divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like, how people are going to be taken care of. The fact that we don't do that is a very sad social commentary. We need to take a long look at that. But if we go to a court system, I have an issue with how child support is actually doled out in terms of the cost or whatnot. Like, so my father, he had to pay child support based upon what he made, and he made a lot of money. So they just taxed him a lot of money for that. There was no stipulations from the court on how the money was to be spent. For instance, where it was more than what I needed, for instance, there was no stipulation for like, okay, if there's excess, then that money needs to go into like a college fund or a bank account or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? And that did not happen for me. when I graduated high school, I had no money put away for college in any way, shape, or form. Not that my mom was intending for that to happen. She just wasn't necessarily the best at staying on top of certain stuff, and so that was just something that fell through the cracks or whatnot. And so I would like to see a situation to where, like, if we have to go to a court system that's not something that we've set up, that the court system be more fair towards the child and how the money gets doled out, because it's not up. Let's say my parent is not the best when it comes to budgeting. Like they might have a bill that says $20,000 a year, but what is it going to? Specifically, the line item costs. You know what I'm saying? And if there's excess, what is that going to, and how is that being used? If it's not enough, what needs to be addressed? You know what I'm saying? I'll leave it there.
Okay, so according to the department.
Hold on, Sheek. Just to let
okay.
you know, we got Zsa Zsa. Zsa Zsa's here as well. She's one of the hosts. Say hello, Zsa Zsa.
Hello. I'm so sorry I'm late.
It's all good.
How y'all
Welcome,
doing?
Zsa Zsa.
Welcome.
I guess, Sheek.
Okay, well, according to the Department of Agriculture, it costs $233,610 to raise a child. Well, $14,000 annually, and that's the average for a middle-income couple with 2 children. So dividing that in half, approximately for one, it's about $7,000. This is, of course, in 2015. And it's a bit more expensive in urban parts of the country and less so in rural areas. So there is why you see a difference between Waco, which is more a rural area, versus Dallas. You know.
And to put that in context, real quick, not to cut you, sis, but I was annually that was like $9,000 a year for me back in the mid '80s to the early mid '90s.
Right, and that's because that's how child support is calculated. But the thing is that if you don't have a male husband, baby daddy, whatever you call them, that makes a lot, they only get that same percentage of nothing.
Right.
Okay.
See, that's where I think the problem is. You know what I'm saying? Because what if your man don't? What if the man can't produce like that? Like, so, like, you know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, like, the sis ain't getting what she needs in this situation, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, the money's not adding up to the cost. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying.
And so that's why it should be based on the cost of raising the child.
100%.
Versus the percentage, which is the highest percentage that any state will do. I think it's Texas and New York is 20%. Of the man's income. That's it. So, but when you have not, I hate saying it, but it's like that. You know, like kind of prioritize that the man that you deal with has to be making a certain amount of money, and you know you're doing stuff out of sincerity of heart, probably naivety as well, because you're not looking for, can he provide? You know, does he provide for himself? You know, you're going to be the one with the short end of the stick. So, but we're going to talk about more of that later. We're going to go through the 10 myths, and I want all the hosts to weigh in on dispelling these myths behind child support, okay? So, number 10 is child support is given only to women. What say you, panel? We'll start with Zsa Zsa, since she's just here.
Okay, come again.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Here is a statement that we commonly hear about child support. Child support is only given to women. Yay or nay?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
And that is and there's a lot. I guess because men are men, and they own up to theirs. So like, no, I'm not gonna allow her to, just pay me. I know how to take care of my kid. You know what I'm saying? Men do men up. There's a lot of men out there that do want to take care of their kids by themselves. They don't want to ask the woman for nothing. She can come by, take care of the child, whatever, visit and stuff. You got to go. A lot of them, I have friends that are single parents to this day, and they do all of that. They go home, they cook, they clean, they do everything for their child. And I feel like they do a way better job than even a woman. And a lot of them, they just don't want the child support. They don't want to, I guess it's kind of like a man ego. They feel like a woman should not have to take care of a man. So then that's how they're feeling like, nah, I'm good. Me and my baby, we good. They don't want no money from the woman.
But can they get child support?
Oh, yeah. Yes, they can. A man can if they choose to receive it. But I've never heard of any men that actually ask for it.
Right.
If they ask for it, I'm sure that they can. They don't ask for it.
So now we're getting to the fact child support is given to the custodial parent, no matter what the gender. It's the custodial parent must file to receive the child support. So yeah, you have to ask for the child support, and most men will say, I don't want it. But there are some men who actually do need child support, and have women who are able to give that. I know a woman, because her finances are that much better than her ex-spouse, she does pay child support, and they have she has custody of them as well. So child support can be given to any custodial parent or any parent who actually, where the finances are so different, then it would make a difference in how the child lives. Okay? All right. So, myth number 9. Women are automatically given child support. Jennifer, want to answer that?
Yes. So, can you repeat the question?
Women are automatically given child support. Yay or nay?
Oh, yeah. Nay. Not automatically. No. Like you said, it's the custodial parent. I'm definitely aware of that, because it's not just the mom, it's not just the dad. You have grandparents that have custody, sisters, aunts, foster parents. But for the judicial system, I believe they are fair when it comes to whoever has custody of the child, that, they pretty much enforce that person to receive child support on behalf of the children. So as far as just women, because if you really think about it, all women do not take care of their children. All women are not, they can have a baby, but they're not moms, they're not parents. They, life happens, situations happen, and other people are usually pick up the slack if the mom's not around or not able to care for the child. So definitely,
absolutely absolutely any parent or custodial parent has to file for child support unless it's part of a divorce proceeding. Okay, and then the child support court, and I'll use that loosely in quotation air marks, because it's not really court. People think it's court, but it's actually a revenue service. But child support will allow several attempts for a parent to get to court. Okay, and I know this because I know people who have filed for child support and have to take off days of work because they'll go to court and the other person doesn't show up, and the other person doesn't show up, and then the other person, they get that amount of time. Meanwhile, you're taking away days from the custodial parent that usually has to go to children. So you do get a chance to go to court. Okay, myth number 8. The court puts a child on a man no matter what. Not signing the birth certificate means you're evading child support. Orthodox Moor.
You asking Jennifer, me?
Oh, no, I was asking Orthodox Moor. I'm trying to go around the table.
Yeah, Orthodox, you there? We can't hear you. All right. I guess he stepped away for a second.
Oh, okay. Zsa Zsa?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, so true or not, the court puts a child on a man no matter what. Not signing the birth certificate means you're evading child support.
They do. They put them on there. Here in Texas, but actually, if the thing about it is if, for example, like in my case, I had my son in the mid-90s, and so when being that the dad was not there, I couldn't give him his last name. So my son's father is not on the birth certificate. However, he didn't want a DNA test either. He said, "This is my kid." He agreed. So hey, they put him on child support.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
so,
just an admittance will do that. Mm-hmm.
So I guess every state has a different way of doing it, but I just like we spoke about last week. If the man signs that birth certificate, or even if the woman says, "Oh, that this is your son," let's say, for example, let's say I'm married. Of course, my last name is Lovett, right? So let's say I'm a divorced woman, but I'm pregnant by somebody. I had a baby with somebody else. Then my husband's going to be obligated to pay that child support, and it's not even his child. And I think that's kind of whack. That things have changed.
Yeah. See, what they're trying to do there is make sure that kids not become a burden of taxpayers. But if that's your wife, you're supposed to be one, right? And so they will go ahead and say that husband is the father until you sign what is that? A non-paternity. It's a form that says that this is not my child. And also, if a man does not show up to court, now he's given several times to do so, but if he does not show up to court, in most states he is deemed the legal father. In Texas, the paternity tests are free. They will give you a free paternity test.
Wow.
And that has been done since I got here. They changed the law shortly after, and they will do a free DNA test to establish paternity. So, yeah. So not signing the birth certificate does not mean you're evading child support. You are doing so for the meantime, but you will be responsible for child support once paternity is established. And this is how many of our men wait so long, and they end up in arrears. So anytime I hear of a man saying, "I'm paying thousands and thousands of dollars, a month," I'm like, "How many kids?" And they're just like, "Just for one." And I start probing more. Than most of the time I find out that they're in arrears because there was a possible paternity issue or just whatever that was left, unchecked for so long. So, so just because you don't sign the birth certificate does not mean that you're evading child support. Go ahead.
Yeah, Orthodox is back. Just letting you know.
Okay. So, we got 8. Okay, so we're doing good. I don't believe that we believe a lot of the myths out there. Okay, so, good. Orthodox Moor is back. So, number 7, child support is based on the needs of the child. Yay or nay?
Nay. It's definitely not big. And that's my biggest problem with this system. Because, here's the cold piece about it. Whether you're a man getting child support or a woman getting child support, right? There was times I lived with both parents and whatnot, and so my father declined to take out child support from my mother, just like the Queen was talking about earlier. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like he couldn't have used help and whatnot. And so I feel like the state should step in at this juncture and be like if an individual parent, you talked about the annual cost of a child, that the state knows about the cost of, you know what I'm saying? And so if one parent can't meet the needs of actually paying that child support, for instance, my mother was a waitress, there was no way she could have paid child support for me. It would have broke her pocket. You know what I'm saying? The state should be able, to step in and stipulate, okay, that child has the ability to get certain medical care, the ability to get food stamps, not the parent, but it's for the child. You know what I'm saying? It's maybe something for housing vouchers, et cetera, whatnot, to fill in the gaps for the cost of the child, so it's not so strenuous on the parents involved and whatnot. Because let's say you're the father involved, right? And the woman's getting child support from you. You might not, like my father made a lot of money when he was paying child support. That's not the average cat though who's in the situation, right? The average cat, like they can't actually pay. They can't pay the cost of what the child needs. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that puts a strain on him because he's paying a lot out of his check. You know what I'm saying? And it's putting a strain on the mother because she's not getting what she needs and whatnot. And it's putting a strain on the kid because there's a strain between the parents and whatnot now. Do you know what I'm saying? So he's going back and forth between unhappy cats and it's like, man, it's madness all the way around. You know what I'm saying? So that whole aspect of like how it gets calculated, that's got to get dealt with. Completely dealt with.
Right.
And this is where we got to get active in the system and make it work better for us in this situation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right. Child support is based off the earning potential of the parent, and it's usually a percentage of the parent's income, the highest being 20%. So that works good if you have a higher earning partner, but if you do not, it is really not a lot of money. Any other panelists want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, stand by. We have the Vinny D is here. Vinny D, program Vinny.
All right, peace everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey, Vinny.
All right.
I'm in, Vinny?
Sorry about being late. It's 5:30 out here, so I got to get home and take care of everything. But peace to you guys. Glad to be back on the panel with y'all.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Amen.
All right.
Hey, but real quick, I want to say 20% is crazy. If let's say you're broke, right? Like you're a poor female or a poor male paying child support. Like 20% is a big chunk. That's a big chunk. One out of every $5. Yeah, you trying to make your ends meet. Like that's a cold system right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and these are the type of things that we have to think about, when we create children,
Right.
Unfortunately, though, a lot of people who will be really hit hard by that 20% are usually younger or just starting off in the workforce. And it will definitely hit them hard. Okay, let's go on to Ms. 6. If I have children with another partner, my child support payments will decrease. Anybody want to take that?
Come again. I'm sorry.
Okay. If I have children with another partner, my child support payments will decrease.
That was not the case with me. I can tell you that. As a matter of fact, they were able to increase. My mother actually declined the increase, but it had nothing to do with the other child. It just had to do with my father's earning potential.
It's supposed to decrease when you have they won't decrease much, but you have to prove of the third child that you're taking care of him and all that stuff. You have to bring in a lot of proof.
It increases even if it's not yours?
Well, no. If
I have a child, then I go have a child with another partner, then my payments will decrease. That means both kids are mine.
Right. It could.
Yeah.
It could. It will.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. So I understand what you're saying real quick. So you're saying the second. Oh, I got you. Okay, I hear what you're saying now. Okay, I thought a whole different scenario was going on. Okay, my fault.
Yeah.
It actually
For each child, they will experience a decrease. In yours, it was probably that there was no modification or updating, and your father probably made more because people get raises over the years, and then it was like, oh, you're making more, bam, But when more children are added, then per child it's less per child, but it's more overall. I'll say that. So it's going to add to your child support, but it's going to be less per child. So now you've actually decreased the amount for the children that you were already taking care of.
Is that standard across the U.S. or is that for Texas?
Pretty standard. I don't see how you can add more children and then pay less, because each child is about $400, and $30 is the average U.S. Court support order. Okay, it's $430. That's the average. Okay, so when you add another child to that, the amount wouldn't decrease; it would increase. But
So,
it may decrease for the
so when
other
you're saying
child.
amount, are you talking about the overall amount or the individual amount per child?
The overall amount.
Okay, got it.
The overall amount will increase per
But
child.
the amount per child, but the amount per child, does that decrease? Is what you're saying?
It could decrease, yeah, depending on the earning potential of the male.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Like, I heard it's cheaper to have two kids with one mom than separate mothers. Because if you have separate mothers, then it's more money.
It's two cases.
Than the one, right? Look at it.
Yeah. So saying, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say something. In the state of Florida, you're actually, if I'm not mistaken, from what my cousin was telling me, is that they do like a where they give you, and every 2 years they evaluate you, and you have to go back to court just about every 2 years to see if you got a raise or what. And they steady, like literally, they steady increase and increase. The more you make, the more they're gonna start taking out. That's what they've done in Florida.
I believe
now,
that.
Florida and Texas are very similar. Very similar. Yes, very similar.
What's the percentage in Florida?
I really don't know, but if I'm not mistaken, it's the same. Texas and Florida, they go hand in hand with a lot of things.
Well, it's about 17%, I think. I think Florida is 17% because their earning potential in Florida is what? It's all the states are around 17 and 20. 17 and 20.
Child.
17% for one child?
Yep,
for one child.
That's not in every state, though, huh? I don't even know how much it is in California, but.
Well,
probably. What state has the most? I'm sorry, go ahead.
New York and Texas have the highest amount, and they're at 20%.
Okay. What state has the most oversight for the money once it goes into the custodian's hands?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't do that research, and I'll tell you why. We'll get to that in just a minute. I'm trying to look it up, but it's not coming up. All right, let's move on because we're almost there. Okay, here we go. Joint custody will reduce my child support payment. Yay or nay?
You don't have none. No. I mean, yes, you don't pay anything.
No.
You're sharing responsibility, correct?
No, you get hit with child support on joint custody.
That's right. Not in all cases. The parent who makes the most will owe some child support to the other parent. Because what you're trying to do is keep the same life for the child, regardless of what child decided to do. A beautiful example of that was something I read not too long ago where the parents were the ones who were inconvenienced and going from home to home, and their children stayed in the family home. So they had their family home, and then they had an apartment, and they would just switch out. So the kids were not inconvenienced at all. It was only the adults. And it really did save everybody money, to be honest. So that's always an option. Okay. Child support should only be spent on items for the child. This is a hot topic. So, Zsa Zsa, do you want to tell us yay or nay? Oh, Vinny want to take it? Go ahead, Vinny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut in. Go ahead, sis.
Me, myself, I don't believe that. Because if I'm a working mom and I need to, let's say, because, my hours might have got shortened for the week or something. I mean, I need to use that money to keep our lights on. Or I might need to use that money to get him some extra snacks or something like that. It's not always going to go to the child. I mean, it's going in the household where he lives. He does need light. He does need a roof over his head. I mean, and if I'm working, he's gonna have it too. You know what I mean? All of it. Oh yeah. I mean, it's in the household.
Okay.
I didn't have enough money to. I mean, go ahead. Vinny?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say. Sorry about that. I'm on mute. I would say, personally, like you, Sis Zsa, I would say no. But when it comes to the state, yeah, they're going to take money, because my understanding is they feel that since she's getting that money, then obviously they don't feel that she's making enough money or as much money as you, so she doesn't have time out to go bond with the kids or just go have time for herself. So, yeah, I'm, personally, no. I say no, but, systematically they do that, to my understanding. And I yield.
So my
Orthodox
position
Moor, I
is
know you have a
yeah. My position is this. So I believe one or two things. Like, so I personally, the child should be with the parent who can provide the best lifestyle, unless they're just like not like the courts deem them not to be able, not good to be parents and whatnot. Like they're just horrible people and whatnot. Like they're masochists or something like that, right? But beyond that, I feel like it, like so the one who can, you should be able to like take care of your child for the most part if you're going to be the custodian, right? So I personally believe that let's say your state, it has like a 20% or a 17% max or whatever, right? I think that that should it should go towards paying for the overhead of the cost commensurate to that percentage. So like 17 or 20% of that child's overhead, like 17% of the power bill, 70% of whatever, you know what I'm saying, the rent, 70% of the food cost, 70%, you know what I'm saying, and then whatever's left over, I think should be dealt with in terms of the future sake of the child. And that's why I'm very pro like there being more oversight of that money and how it's dealt with on a line item basis, because there's a lot of money that falls through the cracks. Like there's no stipulation put on the custodian like, okay, if there's excess or if excess of that percentage is there, then you have to put it away for the use of the child in X, Y, and Z type of ways. There's no mandate like that. So stuff can fall through the cracks if there's excess, or if the money and there's no double checking to make sure the money's not being spent incorrectly in most cases. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. I can understand what. Well, I would like to say something real quick. I understand what he's saying. Like, the child should go with with the parent that's able to care for the child. But there's some women, unfortunately, that and I was one, that the father was not in my child's life. He literally accumulated a whole bunch of a lot of fees and stuff, But I felt like, okay, hey, I'm working. I mean, I'm taking care of my kid by myself. I'm going completely without, which is fine. He didn't ask to be here. However, when I got my income taxes and stuff like that or whatnot, when I had moved to, to better myself, to get a better opportunity as a black woman, my son asked me. He said, "Where is my money?" And I said, "What money, man?" I kind of got mad because I'm sitting up here like, I didn't went without all these years, and then you asking me for, and he told me, he said, "You need to save money for my college." And I'm not going to lie to you. And I straight up told him, I said, "Let me tell you something. That's your job. Your job is to make sure that you get good grades and you make sure you graduate top 10 and make sure you get them scholarships in. That's your job." And he got on it. He got on it. Because as a single mom, you can't, a lot of women, we don't make enough to put this up and put that up. We're going to need it. I'm not trying to be funny, but for me, I always needed it. And we both always needed it. And I always had to make sure that I provided. So that was impossible. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that one.
Okay. I wanted to just chime in real fast. This is Jennifer.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I'm in between. I'm in the middle because the first thing, I guess, for people who's watching, and if you are like a person who do not have children, I think the first step to avoid most of this is to know the person you having a child with, know the person you're going to impregnate, know the person that you're going to have a child with. Like, know them. You know, people give off signs ahead of time. Are they a responsible person while you're dating? You know, because if they're responsible, mostly 9 out of 10 times when they have the child, they will continue to be responsible. So, and when it comes to child support, you guys end up, not working together. Your relationship didn't work out, and the question in the air is like, okay, well, is she going to use the money for the child only? And the reason why I say I'm in between, because coming from my perspective, I've always been a single mom. I think with maybe 3 years out of the whole time I raised my 15 and 13-year-olds, I was a single mom, except for 3 years. And even now, the father gets to, he steps away from the children, and I'm back a single mom, and he hasn't contributed even like a penny towards them. So when child support finally kicks in and I get that money and I decide, okay, well, I want to get reimbursed because this whole time I'm taking care of my children. I put myself last. Like, I can't go shopping. I can't get my hair done, my nails done like I want to. I can't do none of that. I just work, put food in the refrigerator, clothes on their back, make sure they have a roof over their heads, make sure their needs are met. So when that money comes in, if I was that type of person, I believe I could. Like, if I want to spend that money on myself, that's you reimbursing me. I'm getting reimbursed because all these years, decades, I raised these children without you. I did it by myself. I had to find a way to do it by myself, one person. And then when you finally, get summoned by the court and they say, okay, you have to pay this lady to take care of your children. I mean, if I was that type of person, I would. And if there's other people out there like me, I wouldn't say nothing about it. But the number one thing is like, just always make sure your child is fine, because I don't recommend people doing it by themselves, but I did it by myself. My children are good. They have sneakers, they have clean clothes, they have a roof over their head, they're good. Their hair is done, they're well groomed, they're fine. But that's because I was able to make it happen. But receiving that extra income, I'm like, why not? As long as your children are good, children always come first. As long as the children are good, the children are fed, their needs are met, then do what you need to do with the money. I told my daughters, when their money comes in, I'm not even touching it. Actually, it's going straight in their bank account. That will be their college fund, because I've been doing it by myself. So this money that's coming in, that's going to be a plus, because I already budgeted myself to take care of 3 people off one income. So it's like, as their money just going straight into a bank account for them when they get older, just to see, okay, this is what your father contributed. You're 21, the money stops. This is what your father contributed. Like, this is all yours. I wouldn't want that money because it came from him, and it came from him because the court forced it on him. So I wouldn't personally want to spend his money anyway. But I'm speaking for like females out there who's in my position, who just took care of your children this whole time. And, like, towards the, teenage years, the father decides to, or your father starts to contribute to the children, hey, go ahead and spend it. Why not? As long as the children are fine, why not?
I got your why not right here. And so here's what I'm saying, why not. So
okay.
Here's an interesting situation. Like, so I'm an actual legal custodian of an elderly family member. And so they get a Social Security check every month and whatnot, and so the court stipulates what their costs are and whatnot, and they stipulated, for instance, like, I can get a max amount as a stipend for actually watching them as their custodian. The max I can get from their money is $100 a month, right? So if a parent is going to get paid to watch a child like a babysitter, then that should be understood within the child support, as in, okay, as a custodian, this percentage of the money is going to your pocket, your personal pocket. But if it doesn't stipulate that, it's 100% irresponsible to be like, oh, well, he owes me for me doing my job as a parent too. No, you opened your legs too. You volunteered for that job the moment you opened your legs. The moment he volunteered for that job, the moment he went inside them legs. You feel me?
But here's the problem, Orthodox Moor, and this is why they don't oversee it. Most people don't pay enough in child support to bank money to the side to pay for a child. Most women can't even factor in child support as a definite in their budget, okay? So I said it before, and it's my number 2 myth, but the average child support order in America is $430. That is nothing. We already talked about the cost of having a child.
No, agreed.
Daycare and health care is $1,000 plus. So when you look at something, when you talk about $430 measly dollars, it should not be any oversight. She's in the negative. Okay.
There
and
should be oversight. Here's why there should be oversight, so you can get more help off that. Here's what I'm saying. Like, so let's say the person who's paying the $400 or whatever, right? Like, again, like 9 times out of 10, his earning potential is not going to be more than that for a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's
right.
9 times out of 10, he's not the rich one that got away. Do you know what I'm saying? He's the ratchet dude that you got stuck with. You know what I'm saying? So, so this is what I'm saying. Here's a failure of the state in this part, right? Like, because obviously, like you said, here's the X cost for the child. If this is what he can afford, you know what I'm saying? You get penalized because you're the working mom. You're not like the stiff. You know what I'm saying? So you're working and you're bringing more in from the state than what you can get support for. Like, so you can't get food stamps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't get housing vouchers, et cetera, right? But you being the single mother with not getting enough to meet the overhead of the child, that should qualify the child to get such that you can then supplement, et cetera. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. But that doesn't have anything to do with oversight. That has to do with offset of the cost of the child. Oversight is that this money is only going here and there. But the problem is that when a child lives in your home, everything that you have is supporting that child. So that means light. That means the reliable transportation that you have to have. That also means the food that you put in your house, extra water, and the extra space that you have to have for that child.
But you put a finite cost to that. You put a finite cost to that, correct? You just stipulated that the average cost of the child is $7,000, right? If it fluctuates, this is why there should be oversight. Let's say you're getting less. Let's say you're getting less than what you need, and like the sis said, like it's a more expensive year, right? Cost for everything just went up that year, right? Like so that's what I'm saying. Like when I'm saying oversight, I'm not saying like someone in your house like telling you how to spend everything. I'm talking about like again like it goes to the necessities first, and then to the whatever next. You know what I'm saying? And if there's not if you can prove that if you can prove that there's not enough for that, then that you should get reimbursed for that. Is what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. So you're saying show the receipts and to come up with a specific amount for the needs of the child. So I agree with that, but the end result is going to come with either the state or that man having to give more than $430 a month.
I agree.
So that's what we're looking at if we go that route.
I'm saying the state should fill in where the man if he can't do so. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of times they do. A lot of times women have to name the father to even get assistance. You know.
Right.
And
if you can't, this is what I'm saying. This is the problem with the system. Let's say you can't, right? Now you're in the situation where you obviously have the single child. Like there's obviously a father, and you obviously have the child, right? And you can prove that the kid is yours, right? You know what I'm saying? You should be able to get some form of reimbursement for that from the state for the child's costs. You know what I'm saying? So you're not getting penalized for working. Because again, if you can't prove the father, you're stuck because you still got to work and you still got child care costs. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's a crazy system. That doesn't make any sense. And the children are the one paying the most at the end of the day.
Yes.
So you're saying that, like some kind of government type of assistance for whatever parent that does not make enough to secure half of the bag, basically, of raising the child, is what you're saying.
Right. Like let's say it's the best or the worst situation. Best case scenario, you got the other parent paying the 20%, right? And if that's not enough, there should be supplemented by the state. Worst case scenario, you can't even locate the other parent. Therefore, it should get supplemented by the state.
Right. Right.
Because it doesn't make no sense that the single mom is working her finger. Like, man, I watched my mom work 2 jobs, right? At certain situations, man. Oh man, this is again. She's getting $749 for me, right? Like she's getting more than what she needs for me, but it's still not enough for the cost of being brother and other costs are going on. Okay, because she had to take care of family members that she wasn't getting paid for. It's a crazy state system we live in. So again, like I have to work from home, right? To take care of a family member who can't take care of themselves. But at the same point in time, the state will only pay me $100 out of what they get. You know what I'm saying? So like the state's crazy with this. The state be laughing at people that got to take care of take care of kids or elderly or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like they act like they're giving us what we need, but no, it's crazy. Like right off the top, like so when the state knows. Like so typically, here's what I'm saying. Like, if you have to be in a situation where the state's intervening, because I come from a cultural background to where the state doesn't intervene. Like, we make marriage contracts, we have keepers of the contracts, we have dowries, we have post payments. All that's contracted out, and there's ways to deal with that outside of the court system. But if we have to go to the court system, like at that juncture, it's like we should have a somebody assigned to us, almost like a DSHS person assigned to that situation to overlook the situation right quick, just to check in every now and again. Is everything cool? Do you have what you need? Is what you're getting a month enough? What's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Does your kid need more medical care? Does your kid need, et cetera, et cetera? You know, all that type of stuff. There should be like a social worker attached to the divided situation, if nothing else, just to look out for the kid. Because the kid at that juncture, I mean, the kid is it's still a minor. You know what I'm saying? Like innocent bystander to the situation.
Let's see.
Well, I agree with that. I thought when you said oversight that you were talking about like, oh, she has to provide, because there has been talked about, oh, women have to provide receipts for everything that they buy, and it has to add up to the child support. And then, you know, normally when we have those conversations and we add up the cost, I have never met anybody who's really paying that amount. So it's just on average, women are getting less. Like, you're really just going to have the brunt of the cost of raising that child. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that that's the way the system and everything is set up now. So we have to be mindful about creating children and what resources we have to do so. I know women who were married, weren't married, young and old, and still got left holding the bag. So so this is where our mothers came up with, go get your education so you don't have to depend on no man, right? Because they got left holding the bag, which goes into what we were talking about 3 weeks ago when I brought up that article, Poverty is All About the Men, and talked about how women are actually going into poverty because they're left taking care of dependents by themselves. And so those are things so this is how child support kind of offsets it. But I'm going to tell you, there's some clever people who have children and do some crazy stuff. So a family member's ex, he was actually incarcerated. He didn't have any type of criminal history, but he decided to cover for his brother. Winds up going to jail shortly after he marries and has a child, comes out and does not take care of this child and owns a whole business. He then put the business in his new girlfriend's name. And so when they went to court, something that my family member had to miss several days just to do, they awarded her $54 a month. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, these are the type of insults that we get. She found out that he owned the business from his sister, who dropped the dime on him because she felt like it wasn't right. Because he was married to her. It wasn't like she was some fly-by-night woman, okay? So you know, I just want to – that's the myth that women are, you know, having babies to live off of child support and welfare, as if we are ignorant and can't do the math that a two-parent household is better than living below poverty and qualifying for welfare benefits, or a measly child support check is going to have you rolling in dough. This is ridiculous and crazy, and things people say to dehumanize and to devalue women, and that needs to stop. And it's mostly women, because women are mostly the custodial parents. That's why I'm saying women. Okay. So
Yeah, like the men make the women the scapegoat in that situation because they're like mad at the system and mad at everything. Like, oh, the woman did that to me, blah blah blah. Like, man, I heard all that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same point in time, it's the commentary on like, look, man, this what the situation you just talked about. We all have to look at them like, man, that's us. That's our culture right now, in quotation marks. You know what I'm saying? Our culture doesn't value making children, doesn't value the man-woman relationship, doesn't value the family to the point to where we have a courtship system. You know what I'm saying? We haven't developed our so-called air quotes African American courtship system. You know what I'm saying? Like we're still just flying by night. You know what I'm saying? Like to where we don't value each other enough to be like no. We're worth a system of finding out should we get married, should we not get married. We're worth having a system of contracting and marriage and divorce to where it's sane. We're worth having a system of dowry to where like no. In case anything ever happens to where we do split up, here's a big chunk of money I don't ever touch that's yours, so you and the kids are straight. You know what I'm saying? All them kind of things.
Well, there's two things here. Well, it depends on what culture you're in. There's bride price and then there's dowry. Bride price is what the man puts up, and the dowry is what the woman puts up towards the marriage. And they still practice that in Africa to a certain degree. But what people have complained about is like in child marriage, they say, oh, well, it helps financially because of dowry, but the dowry is usually spent on things for the home, and it's not put away or tucked away or earning interest and all that stuff that it should be doing. So,
yeah, different cultures do it different. Like some cultures, like a dowry is put in trust for that day of emergency. Like let's say your man or somebody goes off to war and doesn't come back, that's when you get it. Or the man leaves the home and leaves you with the child, that's when you get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It all depends on the culture, but I'm saying like what we got to recognize is we are worth enough. To do that for each other, to make a culture for ourselves like that, to where we do value each other, to where it becomes normal, to where like when our kids are teenagers, you know what I'm saying? It's normal that they go through the courtship processes when they want to date somebody. They want to like, no, I got to sit down with their family. They got to sit down with us. We got to know each other. Certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever we decide, you know what I'm saying? But we need to recognize not doing that is having the outcome of us ending up in court looking for child support, male or female. You know what I'm saying?
I think last week what was brought up when I listened is that accountability. You know, it should be within our own. It should be within our own culture or communities. But the thing is about accountability. People today, we kind of live in a society where people are afraid to hold other people accountable. You know, and what does accountability look like? For me, it would look like, okay, you have this contract, now you have to abide by the contract. Okay, you broke this clause in the contract, so now the contract says this. Okay, that's an accountability piece. But as far as getting men or women who are kind of failing at their marriage on the right track, where does the accountability piece come in? Now, I stated today when I was talking to somebody, I forgot, that in Africa, when they have their marriage ceremonies, guess what they're doing? They're bringing whole families together, meaning that you will have to be accountable to his family
100%.
if something goes awry and vice versa. Yet we have a lot of men in America, some who are, well, I don't want to make it religious, but some in the Hebrew community, some in the Christian community who don't want others in their marriage. Keep that person out my marriage. You know, now when it comes to gossip and just, you know, bad advice, I agree with that. But people who love you and want to see you successful should have a right to say, hey, this is what you're doing. You know, if it's something outrageous, like you're going out being a whoremonger, you're going out stumbling in the streets and things of that nature, there should be family on either side that should be able to say something to you. And a lot of times we just see people on this, let me mind my business, you know, type of thing. And therefore, when it comes to accountability, it seems to be lacking unless it is legally obtained.
Hey, I got a question to pose. So say, for instance, like you have two families who are a father and a mother, who make, you know, close to about the same, and they both do well for themselves, but they're not together. and they both had joint custody, do you think that they should be awarded some kind of child support? I'm talking about the custodial parent or the parent who's making less.
Great question.
Do you think that? Yeah. Do you think that it would be what do I want to say? I got lawful in my head, but not lawful, but morally right if the system awarded them? Or have you ever heard of any cases like that?
No, I haven't heard of any cases like that, but when I did the research for the show, I kind of looked into it, and they said unless the people make the same amount, the same this, then somebody's going to get something. I think if it's like a difference of $1,000 or $2,000, I mean, I can't even see that being more than $100, but you would think like that would be given back in some sort of thing. Okay, well, if I get the extra $100 from you, then I'll go ahead and put them on my insurance, or I'll pay for their activity. You know, you would think people would be able to work it out like that. But unfortunately, when people break up, you know, people tend to be in their emotions. Sometimes it's a bitter breakup. Sometimes somebody moved on while in the relationship and it causes problems. The biggest thing that I have seen is when I've seen vengeful scorned women. Yeah, that's, you know, I've seen that. I've seen people break out car windows and all types of stuff. But when it seems like, and this is always a red flag for me, or was always a red flag when I was dating, when a man would say, my baby mama crazy. I'm like, okay, something's wrong with you, because either you don't know how to communicate in a way that can bring crazy down, or you was dealing with crazy and you signed up for it, or you were doing some things to make an individual crazy. It's either one of those things.
All of the above, most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, again, it goes back to those skills to build. It seems as though if a woman is no longer sleeping with the man, or he can no longer influence her, all of a sudden she's a crazy bee. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden you can't stand her, but you was loving her a minute ago, but now you can't make love to her and influence her anymore, and now you're mad. Okay, well then talk to her with respect. You know, that's all you got to do is talk to her with respect. And so there was a viral video that went around where this guy just cut his child's hair, and the mother was going off. She was crying. She dropped her child off with long hair, came back, and he had short hair. And there was no discussion, and there was no anything. And people was like, oh, she's just acting so emotional. But that happened to a friend of mine, and she cried because it's like you drop off your child, then you pick up another child. But it was just the lack of communication. You know, why couldn't you at least send me a text and say, hey, I'm going to go get this boy's haircut? And he knew, and you could tell by his reaction that he knew it was going to make her upset. It was going to, turn her world upside down. And it's like that is sometimes how the relationship is, where I don't have to answer to you. I don't have to think to you if we're not in a relationship anymore. But when you have a child, you're forever going to be in some sort of relationship. The dynamics change if you break up, but you still have to carry on a respectful relationship. So does anybody want to weigh in on that before we move on?
First of all, I agree on that 100% in terms of like having that respectful relationship afterwards and whatnot. And that's why I think it's important to have in that cultural concept. Like, so I would advise people, like, if you even make in courting, when you make a marriage contract, that you put the divorce contract in at the same point in time. It makes things a lot easier when you agree on how you're going to break up, if you ever do break up. But on the flip, I don't want to put this all on the men as well, like, because you can see where the women also put the same control concepts on the men too. Like sometimes, like, they can't control them through their body anymore, or they can't. Like a lot of times, it's like the child support situation and the broken up situation. Like it's a lot of control games, just because again, people are playing an immature relationship game instead of like an actual mature marriage game. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just indicative of us in what kind of healing we still need to go through as a people and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Because it baffles my mind when I see people that have children and it doesn't make them snap to I need to drop all that childish stuff right now. It baffles me. It baffles me because like and I'll just say it like this. Whenever I was around that situation, it's like children make me straight up fly right. Like it just like obviously like they're innocent bystanders. You know what I'm saying? So when I see people like bickering through their children or trying to control the other parent and not recognizing the effects it has on the child or whatnot, like that's crazy to me. Like we gotta do way better than, you know what I'm saying? Like what are we providing for our children if that's the model we're giving them? What are we expecting them to build from that? I'll leave it right there.
And control is a form of abuse, no matter who does it. So keep that in mind. Ladies, any thoughts?
Yeah,
Vinny.
I agree. I agree with the control thing because I feel like in a scenario where the couples they break up and they have children together, and then because they broke up, you know, one of the parents I guess take a more immature approach and say, well, since we're not together, then I'm not going to take care of your kids, and then once they leave you and the children, then they end up going to another house with a woman, and she has children because, you know, a lot of homes, they have a lot of single parents. Single parents like an epidemic out here. So you leave your children's mother, or you leave whoever I'm just going to say in a scenario where the moms have children. So you leave your children and their mom to go to another house, and it's like I was like I still can't wrap my mind around how people can do that. How can you leave for whatever reason, leave your children behind, and then you're around somebody else's children? Like that doesn't make sense. Like I just
because
I would like somebody
it's much it's much easier being a step parent than it is being an actual parent. You know, a stepfather doesn't have to do anything for the kids. So once he's buying ice cream and, you know, buying some food for the house or something, he's you know, a hero. You know, he's stepping in and doing something that he doesn't have to do, while a father is supposed to do those things, and oftentimes can't or is not able to do it to the expectation of kids and other parents.
And another thing, the flip side of it is like, you know, if you know that your new spouse have children, you know, of course you have to have that conversation. Hey, you have children. Why I don't never see your children? Like, I don't understand how. Like for me, I could not date a man. He have children, and I never see his children. Like, where are your children at? Like, why aren't you spending time with them? Like, when are their birthdays and holidays is coming up? Hey, you know, like I will be down his throat because I'm a female. It's like I feel like more females should hold their boyfriends accountable for taking care of their children, even though they might be there for you, you know, for yours. I think you know they should extend the olive branch. If the guy's not taking the initiative, just, you know, put that little bug in his ear. Hey, babe, you know, what's going on with your children? Did you call them today? When was the last time you spoke to them? Like, you know, I'm talking to somebody now. You know, I love hearing that he's communicating with his child, and it's like that's fulfilling. But if I'm with you, it'd be like a month, and I mean, I'm not saying let me meet your child, but let me see that you're talking and communicating with your child, and let me see that you have a positive relationship with the mom. That's because I say the way you treat your children's mother, that's a reflection of how you're going to treat me in the future. I don't put nothing past anybody. So you can say she's crazy or whatever, but I need to see that you are an adult. You guys who formed a great bond and a great communication relationship to whereas you can be mature enough to come together and care for your child and communicate about your child effectively before I can even give you the okay. So it's like, where's that accountability in most relationships?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with that. It is immature, and we definitely need to do better. But I think it's a part of, again, not having the skills to build. You know, how do you deal with a breakup? What is, agitating you? How are you communicating that? How's it being received? And then what action is taken? It usually stops. It's going to stop during some of that. So this is why we need the psychology, and now we're interjecting social emotional learning into schools. So hopefully children will be better armed than we were, because a lot of people think that, cursing each other out and yelling at people and stuff is, just normal. We had a fight. Sometimes people, and, they get the normalization talk. Sometimes people fight, it's just something that happens. No, okay, well, yeah, people do disagree. Verbally assaulting one another is not something that should be happening all the time. And as I minister to you, I minister to myself, because, sometimes I'm like, God, my mouth, where does this come from? And I had to really get in touch with this and start researching, and understanding where that comes from. So definitely. Okay, so we're up to number 1, and this is the hot topic. This is the number 1 myth that I heard a lawyer debunk over and over. But number 1, courts favor women. Yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Depends on the state.
Did I ask you yay? Yay?
Oh, yeah. No, Texas is a yay, 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 yay.
Yeah, like there was a point in time in the state that I lived in, like it was actually like damn near codified like that. It definitely favored them. Then it hit a point where like it was more like just a who did better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very unfair too. I think it's unfair. Very unfair.
I would say, yeah. But I know that they tell you no, and I know that they're getting better at assessing the situation a little bit better, but I would say yeah, they definitely favor the woman more.
And you know why? Because of the woman's nurture. Because a woman can nurture a child. That's why. A man can nurture also. I've seen it. But a woman, that's what a woman does is, we breastfeed, we have our children, vaginally, we go through the entire emotion. When our child gets hurt, we just run to them and we aid them, versus a man be like, hey, man, go on, get up, dude. I'm just saying, but that's why, because a woman is able to nurture. Now, if the man already had a woman with him, let's say a wife, then they might be able to award him the child. But the crazy part about it is that it has to be a woman in his home most of the time. Some kids, some people are like, some dudes, they're too crazy about their kids. They're like, oh, no, I'm going to come get my baby, and I'm through with it. I'm done. And they go get them. On spite versus whatever. But, yeah, yes, courts do favor women. It's the truth.
All right. So it's important to note that if you never go to court and you're working things out with your child's father and mother, you both have legal custody at that time. Okay, it is not until you go to family court and seek sole custody will you have the right to say, hey, I'm not giving you my child. That means that if you have a baby mama and you have a baby daddy and you're out there and you have never went to court and established who has custody, both of you have equal custody. That means that your baby mama or your baby daddy can pick your child up from school and take them to their house and say you're living here. And you cannot call the police. The police is not going to take the child away because the both parents have equal rights. So I'm going to read Dispelling the myth of gender bias in the family court system. According to DivorcePeers.com, the majority of child custody cases are not decided by the courts. 51% of custody cases, both parents agreed on their own that mom become the custodial parent. 29% of custody cases, the decision was made without any third-party involvement. In 11% of custody cases, the decision for mom to have custody was made during mediation. In 5% of custody cases, the issue was resolved after a custody evaluation. Only 4% of custody cases went to trial, and of that 4%, only 1.5% completed custody litigation. And so, in other words, 91% of child custody after divorce is decided with no interference from the family court system. So there's not a bias because people aren't going to family court. They're going to child support, which is a revenue institution and not an actual court, to establish child support, but they're not going to family court all the way to establish custody. So, you know, it can only be a bias if people are actually attending and people are not. And I don't know, I really want them to do a poll on what people or where people think they're going, and I think they just think child support is the court. And, you know, once they go there, that's it. But you can actually have the right to go to family court. So, and here's the problem. This is a divorce coach. The reason why fathers sometimes, they lose having the sole custody is because fathers are typically less involved in their children's care during marriage. So in an actual poll, fathers who lived in the home spent 6.9 hours, while mothers spent 12.9 hours taking care of the children, and that's during a week, okay? And both parents work. So just by that itself, it puts men in a bad position to be able to gain full custody over a woman. In 29% of custody cases, the decision was made within – wait, hold on, I already read that. Fathers are less involved in their child's life after divorce. Okay. That's just true because they're out of the home. But there are some who just don't even deal with their children at all. Okay. Let's see. It's up in here.
Just let you know, you do have a caller
fathers.
standing by whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, there's a caller standing by.
Okay. 20% of fathers after divorce have no contact with their children post-divorce. That actually happened to a friend of mine whose son is autistic.
No, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so she concludes that there is no family court bias in favor of mothers because very few fathers seek custody during the divorce. And so I'm like, why is that? Why wouldn't, fathers seek? Because the mothers, whether you are in have a two-parent household or out of two-parent household, the mothers are doing the heavy lifting. Okay. We're a two-parent household. I would say definitely for sure I do the heavy lifting, But now that things have changed and I have started a new job, he helps out way more. But it's still, mommy. Who did she want to sick? Mommy. Just like, I don't know. When I was a kid, I wanted my mother when I was sick. So. There it is. I mean, that's the actual fact behind it. We're not even getting to the court to prove that there's a bias in the first place. It's just what people say. Now, I do know some parents who are currently going through that, and it's back and forth as they keep on going back to court. And it's one parent has it, then the other parent has it. And this is in Texas. And then one parent has as a school, we're so confused. We're like, what's going on here? Can somebody bring some paperwork? So, yeah. Any thoughts or comments on that? If not, Sal, we can go to the caller.
Let's go.
Well, okay.
Okay.
No, go ahead. It's just, but you see, it is true, but it's like, I mean, the man has to go get it. You get what I'm saying? I mean, he's a provider. He's the one that has to bring in the. I mean, that's how. I mean, yes, I'm gonna say that's how God had it. Where the man is the strongest one. So, therefore, But however, society, the way things are now, it demands for two people to go to work now. That's why a lot of people really don't want to have any more kids no more either.
In Black households, 80% of women are the breadwinners in their home. So,
Wow.
yeah, you have to go out there and get it. But if I'm making more than you, does that mean I get to sit back? Or is it just, are we still subscribing to gender roles and doing the gender roles, even though the gender roles hasn't shifted in the workload, So.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Child support, the real cost of raising children, is the topic of tonight's show. Let's go to the phone lines. Go to 443-815. You're live.
Yeah, hey, South Showtime. This is Brother Mercy. This is a great show. I wanted to make a comment, then I wanted to ask a question. Well, let me ask my question first. What did you say the percentage was of households where the male was the breadwinner?
The female, 80% in the Black community.
80% is the female the breadwinner, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we see where the problem is, right? That's part of the problem, I think. If 80% are, and that may have to do with the single family households, and but yeah, I think it's a greater issue. I mean, the greater issue is we're not staying together, right? So because we're not staying together, the courts have to step in, the states have to step in to manage our households because we can't get along. I mean, let's call it what it is. We can't get along, so the states have to come in and tell us how to live our lives. And I know we're complaining. Well, you said 80%. Well, my goodness, I didn't know it was that high. So, in any other way, so if that's the case, we got a lot of absent fathers not in the household. Number one, and number two, if that's the case, well, since that is the case, then we got a real problem. I think that may have to do with education, but I think there's another issue going on, and I wanted to bring this issue is the tax system. I mean, if you pay, let's say you pay 20% in taxes. And then you pay another 20% of child support. Okay, you talking about 40-50% of your pay already gone. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, you going to pay about 20% taxes, right? And then you're going to pay another 20% for child support, depending on what state. So you talk about 40%. When you go to work, you talking about almost half of your check already gone. Because then you got to get insurance, health insurance and all that. So, I mean, you talking about between 40 and 50% of your check gone before you even get a check. So I think the tax system works part of that too, because the tax takes 20% out of your check, and then child support another 20 or whatever. I feel that there's several layers of this problem. I think I want to ask the panel a question about what do you think? How do you feel about taxes or getting tax credits, or people, or not even tax credit, but paying taxes and how that takes out of your pay, and then you don't actually make it. And I think our people really don't calculate how much is being taken out. Like, all right, you're going to lose 20% on taxes already. So whatever you make, you might just deduct 20 off your hourly pay. If you're getting paid per hour, you take 20% off of that. That's how much they're really paying you. That's how much you're really going to get. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel that plays a part, and then the child support plays the part. But I just feel, what do you think about taxes? And what do you think about the underlying problem of us getting along with each other? Do you think that is part of the issue? We can't get along, and that's why we had to have Uncle Sam and Caesar governor. That's all I wanted to ask.
Yeah, real quick on the tax situation. I thought it was a trip growing up as a kid that my parents would have to fight over which one could claim me, per year, you know what I'm saying? And like one of them was paying child support. Like, well, how come the parent taking care of me can't just claim me as a dependent, and the parent paying child support can't just write off the child support? I never understood that. I still don't get that. But at the same point in time, like people talk about getting like tax credits for like, you know what I'm saying, like having children. Like, nah, all right, cool. If you get a tax credit, cool. But can I write off the child support, son? Like, because if we can write off the child support, think how many more people are going to actually start paying that joint.
Yeah, under Trump's tax plan, a lot has changed. So people are not getting a lot for stuff that you used to. The tax credit is barely, I think, $1,000, but you do get credit for dependent care for having to take care of them, daycare and stuff like that, and that's when the money comes in. Because, yeah.
Well, I would like to say something about the get along part. I just really feel like, I mean, if the mother, I mean, me myself, if I were to, I've never been married, but I'm just saying, like, if I was, I would love to still keep that beautiful relationship with the man that I was with, and for the sake of my child and for the sake of us to get along, I think that, and then for us to be for us to decide on the child. I mean, period. I don't think we need any courts. We don't need anything like that, because it's already like like we had our our last show. It's already bad enough that blacks are being broke down completely. They are. I mean, literally, we're being stripped. We have been stripped completely down, for real. And I just feel like a woman and man, they need to make those decisions among themselves and get along and move on. It's not about us anymore. It's about raising this kid together, and that's that. And getting along. Period. If the kid wants to go over there with dad this week, that's fine. Go. Take turns. Do whatever all means necessary. Be a role. Why do you need these people to make decisions over your child? Why? Because if I'm not mistaken, and I want to just say this real quick because go ahead. In the state of Texas, if you're a single mom, my understanding is that if you have a kid, it's not until you actually go to child support, you take the man to child support, that's how you actually become the child's mom. You have legal custody of him. Because if you don't take the baby's father to court, that child really belongs to the state. I don't know if anybody has ever heard that. I don't know if you read that in your. I didn't do no research on that, but that's what I've always was told.
Wait, say that again.
Texas, that's how it is. Basically, if let's say, for example, I'm a single mom, so when I took my son's father to child support court, that already automatically made my son mine, legally mine, because if not, he was legally belonged to the state. But because I filed child support, the child belongs to me now. I know it sounds crazy, but yes, in the state of Texas. So I don't know if that's because they're forcing you to do it that way in order for them to trick you. Well, if you don't do that, then this is our kid anyway.
Unless you sign something away at the birth of the child in any state you live in, there's something called jus sanguine. That's law of blood. They cannot. You have to sign off from being the child's parent, either at some stage, either when they're born or in a courtroom somewhere. But if you don't sign off, you are the parent until proven otherwise.
Right. Well, I've never heard that in Texas, and I just had my daughter 3 years ago, so I didn't hear any of that. But we'll have to look into it. I don't want to say yes or no with that, but that's something to look into. But I want to go back to what the caller said about, why can't we just stay together? Again, we don't have the skills to build. We don't know how to make relationships work. A lot of us don't even know what healthy relationships are. And also we have stigmas on gender roles, and so when you look at 80% of the households, black households, women are the breadwinners, and that's a crazy number. That's a crazy number compared to 50% of white women being the breadwinners. It's like, okay, so now we have this man who wants to feel like a man, his woman is making more money, is he one of those men where that affects him negatively? Is he one of those people like, it doesn't matter what you make, I want to be able to tell you what to do with this money? Is that woman somebody who's going to sign up for that? And so those are questions that need to be asked and answered before you get married. And so that is not happening, and so that's why people are splitting up and breaking up. And women need to be careful, because if you make more money, you could be the one. I know a woman, she's a veterinarian, and she's paying child support. If you're married and you divorced, you could be the one paying alimony, you know. So you have to be careful about that. And so when I brought up the statistic, I don't even think I brought up the statistic. It was brought up somewhere, and you know, unfortunately, this woman was like, "That's because Black women don't marry for the right reasons." And it's just like, no, it's because our men are gender are treated based on their gender and their race in schools and deterred from education. It's also because of finances and being able to financially carry the burden of paying for school. It's because of a number of reasons why the earning potential decreases for our men. But and of course, racist hiring, firing, and promotional practices, right? But those are the reasons that's affecting our men. We know and see that, and therefore we are responding to the pull, which for most Black women are Black men, that is provided for us. Unfortunately, again, that does have an effect on the wealth of Black people, point blank, period, because now the household suffers from either these wide gaps or these subtle gaps in income and the ability to earn. And so a lot of people will be like, well, why do you need child support anyway? Just go take care of your child on your own and woman up. Well, what could that woman be doing with child support? And this is where I agree with Orthodox Moor. If she's saving money, then she can put money up for college. She can buy assets. She can do things that she would be able to do if somebody else was splitting half of the cost, you know. This is often not the case, and this is the reason why a lot of Black women end up having to work, even if they make a decent amount, having to work another job, having to have a side hustle, having to do all these extra things that takes time away from their children, which affects how they're raised. So,
I got some more social media questions just to let you know. And for those people on the phone line, so we got a lot of people on the line. Simply press number 1 if you want to chime in. You know the number 319-527-6239. But I see like 2 interesting questions on social media. But whenever you're ready, Sheek, I'll read it. Whenever you're ready.
I'm going to jump off real quick and be back on in a little bit.
Okay. No problem. All right, so.
Go ahead, sir.
Let me read that question. And this is from Martha. And Martha, I appreciate you tuning into the program live. It says, child support is for the children. What do you feel about people coming back together for the sake of the children and not for the love of one another? Is it worth living in a loveless relationship for the sake of the children? Me, for one, I say yes. Kids are the most important thing in the world, even before your spouse, and we should do everything as a unit for the best interest of the kids and not about what we feel personally. What do you say about that?
I say no. I say a marriage is more than a child. Those children are going to leave. Even in a marriage, you have to put yourself. You have to carve out that time for each other. You know, I'm dealing with trying to get my baby out the bed with the, you know, like it's cramping my style, right? So, if you're going to be in a relationship, you have to put each other first. It is completely all right, and it is possible to co-parent with a person effectively.
What about you, Vinny?
Yeah, I would say no. You know, I think it would also depend on the situation, because I think if you guys are not like-minded at all, you know, leading two totally different lifestyles, then no, because all it's going to do is just cause confusion in the household. and it's just real confusing, especially not only to the kids but to you and each other. And then if you guys bump heads, it's a real big deal, So I would say that's a negative for me. I don't think that.
Oh, Zsa Zsa?
That's a no for me. Kids are not stupid. Kids are like extremely. They're very, very wise. They're like, they together. I wish they wouldn't be together. I'm serious. Kids will tell you in a minute. This ain't gonna work. And I don't think that a kid will tell you. I don't think. I'd rather co-parenting is a beautiful thing and get along as friends. And that's the best way. It's healthier, and it's better, and it's better for the both. This way, if he likes something out there, if there's a good woman, and she's going to treat my child good, hey, you know what, go for it. And then same here. Or remain single, but content for that time being, raise our kids together. Nah, I'm not going to make my child miserable, and I'm not going to make myself miserable. Because if I'm miserable, he's going to be miserable. We're all going to be miserable. That's a negative.
Absolutely,
right,
and that causes dysfunctional environments, and
and they could become violent too.
Oh, okay.
And hateful. You could start hateful for that person. What you want.
Yeah, we lost Jennifer, and we Orthodox Moor was going to call back, but actually Martha follows up and says, "So you rather stay separate because you don't love each other, or come together for the kids?"
That's a stay separate for me, Chuck.
Yeah, I would rather have a healthy environment separate than have a dysfunctional one together. I actually have some ex-cousins who grew up in a dysfunctional household, and both of them are not well today. They don't value people. They don't value relationships, and it's a problem. And even one so messed up where she told her husband, "You can hit me if you want to." You just don't want your children growing up like that. Now, I will say, if she thinks this, if you broke up for something stupid like you're not happy, okay. And I call that a super reason because there's no way that you can have a long-term 50-year relationship with anybody and never experience unhappiness. If you broke up like, hey, we just lost our spark and it just ain't working, but then you decide, well, our kids are worth it, then you need to work on that spark. You need to work on getting back to happy. And if you can't make it happen, then you need to stay apart. But I know when I was 5 years old, that's when my parents split up, and I was happy at the time because it meant the arguments were going to stop, which is stressful for children. So, and that was at 5. Children are resilient. They can bounce back, and you just have to make sure that you work the co-parenting situation where it's healthy and respectful.
Absolutely, because you don't know what it's a lot of abuse also going on in the households as well. I mean, and they do it in closed doors, but I mean, still, I really believe that it could be unsafe. Like I said, it could become very hateful. I wouldn't do it for my kids. I wouldn't, because like you mentioned earlier, sister, children, they grow up and they're like, bye, and then they're gone. And then you're stuck with him. I don't mean no harm by that. I don't mean no harm. But when you don't love somebody, I mean, yeah, exactly. You're gonna be stuck with each other for what? No, be done with it.
Yeah, and then it could also just kill a family. All the especially if you guys don't know how to manage your feelings. I know some people can, but I know some people can't. Sorry, Sister Jennifer, I didn't mean to break into your in front of you. But yeah, I yield.
Yeah, I actually have an uncle. My uncle Greg. He actually has 3 teenagers, and he actually told me straight up that he doesn't want to leave his wife because even though it's not working out, because he's there for the kids. But he, as far as the spark and everything else, that's gone. But he's there for the kids, and he said when the kids get a certain age, he's out. He's out. So
that is
actually
so crazy though. But I'm like, while you're there, why don't you work on perhaps establishing happiness? Like what can make you happy? You just like over this person completely. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't buy that. I don't buy that because when you're over a person, you are out of there.
Hey, you know what they say? You know what they say? It's cheaper to keep her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you ain't got to pay no child support. You ain't got to do all that.
Yeah, I'll tell you like Bruce, he said, I'm not saying I would do it, but it looks good on you.
Right.
I don't know. Well, that's why that's
Okay.
the reason why he said he didn't want to break up with her, because child support. He doesn't want to be on child support, and he also feels like as a unit they're better with each other, even though it's a loveless relationship. He just feel like for the sake of the kids, like he just hanging in there for them, and they're teenagers now. The way he's looking at it, they're teenagers now, and in a few years, they're gonna be out of there. So to him, it's worth it. Even though he's miserable and everything. So.
But if he could do it, that's more power to him. But personally, I my situation, it was just like 2 rams going at it, and it wasn't good for anybody in the house.
Right. The next question.
I guess if they could be peaceful.
Yeah,
if they could be peaceful and respect can remain, like your aunt ain't finding any panties or bras that aren't hers,
Oh wow. Oh man.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
I got another question on social media. It says this is from Bob. Bobby. I appreciate you, Bobby, for checking out the show on Facebook. It says, what are the disadvantages of the non-custodial parent in the family court system? I don't see any. So he's saying, what are the disadvantages for the non-custodial parent? The custodial parent. Sorry about that. What are the disadvantages of the custodial parent? He don't see any.
What?
I mean, when you have a kid, it's both of our responsibilities. Whoever doesn't have custody of the child, they can go and come as they want to. The child gets sick or what happens, you have to get up and you have to take care of them. Whoever the child is with. And, Mommy, I need this, Mommy, I need that, or Dad, I need this, Dad, wake up, Dad, this. And, whatever the child needs, you could be at work. And another lady explained that last week. Yeah, you have to be the one to go up there.
Yep.
So you have to. You're the one. You're the leader of the pack. Then
Yep. That's the truth.
According to Bobby, the custodial parent, he believes, has all the benefits and none of the disadvantages. But go ahead, Vinny. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if Bobby is the custodial parent or the non-custodial. But I would just mimic what Sister Zsa Zsa just said. In terms of like money, like if you're looking at it from a money situation, or you're not really getting like quality, or you have no say so, and if you can see the kids or not, yeah, you've got some big disadvantages. But in terms of like having to like take the kids to the doctors, having all the responsibility of getting the school clothes or whatnot, or just whatever kind of responsibility that kids bring, then the custodial parent has to. Those are pretty big disadvantages, if you ask me. Not in the long run, but at the time being, yeah.
Yeah. Let me make it plain because I still remember not having a child. And, when I came home from work, if I did not want to cook, guess what I did? A bowl of cereal. in the bed, watching whatever. Or if I wanted to go out, that's what I did. I went out and I did that. Now I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. You're coming home. You're cooking dinner. You're bathing people. You're getting them ready for tomorrow. That means that you're thinking about every need that person has, along with yours. So what are they going to wear tomorrow? What is anything due tomorrow? What time we need to leave tomorrow? I do drop off if it's raining. You know what I'm saying? So those things you have to think about in advance. That's mentally tiring itself. And then it's that child can't sleep that night or is sick that night. My baby just had the flu. You're up, tending to that child. Sometimes just up just to see if they're breathing to make sure. So it's just like a constant thing. And not only that, we've already established that most parents, Orthodox Moor was in the exception, but most parents are not even getting half of the cost of raising the child. So that's a big disadvantage as well. So something to think about. But let me put this out here because I said I'm going to say it. We've known since 1973, when Roe versus Wade came down, and this is what I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I should have a say, and I should have a say. Everybody has a say in what they do in their own reproductive organs, okay? The bigger role you have, and women have the bigger role in the reproduction cycle, that is who gets the call shots on what. So we have to teach our young boys, your part in the reproductive cycle is to plant the seed. Once you do that, your part is done as far as what shots are going to be called, because this is somebody else's body now. And we have to stop saying, well, I should be able – I've heard things like I should be able to financially abort my child. I should be able to tell a woman that she needs to get an abortion, all types of stuff. And sometimes that results in what is that? It results in resentment towards the woman that I can't do this or whatever. But we have to understand what the ultimate decision each individual lies and put the onus on the people who are making these decisions. We blame women for being single mothers, right? And we say, well, you should know better because you know this might be the outcome. But women wouldn't be single mothers if there were fathers who stepped up, okay? So we have to get off of this rape culture thing of blaming women for the decisions of others. There are men and women who decide that they are not going to parent, and those are the people who are creating single parents. And that onus needs to be on them. So, and I say that because when we don't do that, we devalue and we dehumanize women, and it contributes to the violence towards women, specifically black women who die at 2.5 times the rate of their white counterparts. So, I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but it had to be said. Where were we? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm off my soapbox. I yield.
All right, I got one more quick question on here, and the number is 319. If y'all want to call in, 319-527-6239. Again, I appreciate the people that's on social media and the comment board checking out the show. You can call in and let your voice be heard. It's no foul language. To be clean, keep it professional. Says, why are blacks not responsible when they procreate? Women are selecting insufficient men and vice versa. Is this a plague in the black community? In the wrong people? All right, go ahead.
I would, go ahead. I'll yield to you. Go ahead.
A plague of black people choosing the wrong people, or we're just all, it can't be that we're all choosing the wrong people. Then everybody's wrong. Okay. That's another thing I hear. Oh, you just chose wrong. Well, then a lot of people are choosing wrong because the divorce rate, the never been married rate, all these rates are very high in the Black community, and so I don't believe it's you chose the wrong. Sometimes it is you choose the wrong person, but it's not always that. It's going back to those skills to build and work with each other for me. But I'll go ahead and let Vinny and Zsa Zsa go ahead and weigh in.
I wouldn't call it a plague. I actually believe I wouldn't call it a plague. What I actually believe also is that a lot of people have been in some very abusive homes. They have been through things with their own parents. They've been sexually molested, abused, whatnot. So it's a lot that comes with that. So when a young lady or a young man they meet somebody, they fall in love with them because they're getting love, something that they never received before. So then next thing you know, the girl ends up pregnant. He's like, well, I don't know. They don't know what to do. So it's not a plague. It just happens. I mean, when again, like I said, abuse of all kinds does happen in a home, and it does happen in Black homes. I mean, hey, it is what it is. Not everybody has the advantage to have this Mr. Roger neighborhood, Leave It to Beaver, whatever you call it, that type of typical home. It just never, it existed long ago, but now it's like, it's whatever. It's what's been injected in our communities. That's the problem. And they have literally belittled our Black men. And they just come home, and a lot of them, they just take it out on their wives or whoever. Some of them get strung on dope. Some of them, it's all kind of reasons. They hate to, and child's looking at everything. It's a lot.
Yeah. I would say, I would definitely say like plague in the sense of like, some kind of disease, no. But if he's talking about, or they're talking about systematically like destroyed, then I would say yeah, because I would point to everything that Sis Zsa Zsa just said. There's a lot going on in people's families, that we don't see. The only thing we see is the end result. Is the one that's swinging the fist, but it's. And I understand that there's a whole lot of factors that lead to this, but it's a communal. I think it's a communal problem because most of our communities that we grow up in are really not that great, and then we don't really have the values that teach, marital togetherness, for lack of a better term, but. I remember we had an earlier conversation, and we were kind of like talking about these exact things. It's, our mindset is just not in the right place, and that's the sad thing about it. I know we don't like to hear that, but it's the definite truth. We're so focused on, I like to call it Western culture, where everybody is out trying to do their own thing. When before the families used to have like their own shops or their own stores and everything, or they had their own thing going on their farm, and they would have the kids working these farms, and then the whole family would contribute, and nobody would leave until they were really ready to leave. Now it's like we push our kids out, like you're 18, you got to go out, you got to go get a job, you got to go do this, go hit the streets, go start your own life. And most of the time, those lives don't have anything to do with our community. So I think that it's more of a community problem. But the effects, the plague, or the systematic oppression, I guess you would say that we face is the only thing that we see between the mother and the father of the child. And I yield.
All right, one more quick one. family court hurts the family. Who hurts the most? The mother or the father? That's crazy. Okay. I want to answer that one.
Somebody asked it, so I would say they both hurt about the same. You know, all three or all four, depending on how many kids you have. Everybody hurts. Nobody wins. I yield.
I say
have
that
to
if,
agree
you
with
know,
that.
if yeah, me too. I have to agree with that, especially if the mom is somewhat still concerned about the father, because I mean, dads really don't cry in court or anything. They just like kind of like put their head down, and I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of men can agree. Y'all have like a hold a knot, like, oh my goodness, I just like, man, you got to hold it in, but you don't. I mean, they shouldn't, but they do. Especially when awarded to the mother or whatever. And I just really think that it's sad because it's the child and the love that they once possibly they had. And why are we here? We shouldn't even be here. I don't know. It's deeper. It's really deep to me.
Yeah, I would say that everybody. Well, I think that there's always still feelings on both sides. You know, because I've never seen people, especially if it's fresh and it's, you know, not an old thing, not be concerned with what the other person was doing, whether they moved on or not. And so this is why I would not advise anybody to date somebody who's just freshly getting out of a situation like that. But I think that everybody hurts. Everybody thinks it's not fair, and this is why we get the you know, the chatter and the myths out there about things that exist that are not, and we believe our friends. You know, I had a friend who went to child support court, and the man ordered a DNA test like he didn't know what he was doing. The DNA test, proved that he was the father. He got in front of the entire court and said that I will pay my child support monthly, but I want nothing to do with that child. Nothing. So what was he? My friend called me as she walked out of there screaming, crying. You know, not because she had feelings for him, but because her child was just ultimately disrespected and disregarded in publicly. And then once he went in and out of jail, see that happens a lot with people who do that. In and out of jail and stuff, he tried to come around, but he still failed at it. He just didn't. He still failed at it. Luckily, his mom and stuff comes in. So there's a lot of emotion. And what you do feel is, how come you won't do for my child what I would do for our child, what I'm doing for our child? How can you not look at them and love them and want to? Why are you complaining? Why are you trying to dodge this? You know? And a lot of it, a Christian pastor said in church, I was part of this church too, that a man treats his children the way he feels about a woman. Now, here's the thing that messed me up. He didn't say, and that's wrong. He said that's a fact. And he gave biblical examples to it. I was, you know, like, and it's wrong. When is that bottom line going to come? And it never did. It was just like, that's a fact. So, and so he warned women, don't have a child with somebody who's, you know, not your husband. Well, okay, that's like duh, but where is the bottom line that children shouldn't be treated the way that this man feels about this woman? Yeah. And it just never came. And a lot of times we do see that. And, I mean, because what does a little baby do to deserve that humiliation? And, of course, the baby wasn't sitting there like, I'm humiliated, but you're their parent. You know that they are humiliated. The reason why you wipe slobber from their mouths, even though you know more slobber is going to come, is to give them dignity, right? I mean, this is what you do for your child. And yet we have, and it's not just fathers, but we have parents out there who will do this to their children.
And those are plagues.
Yeah, right.
That's what I call a plague, because then it transfers from from what he said to that child, and he's like, well, why? You know, then he might do it and he might not. you know. But I mean, that's what you call a play. You know, that's a play. An irresponsible person.
It's definitely a sickness going on in his mind and in his heart, and it's just like, what? You know. And then who has to pick up the pieces? Who has to pick up the pieces? The people around that, the people, the custodial person, and their support system around that, which is usually other women, have to pick up those pieces. You know, have to help, have to financially help. You know, have to give their time and everything else so she can, you know, be a mother. And so it's just a cycle and a pattern that continues on and on and on. So.
Yeah, that's sad. That's a very sad case, you know. And I have a kind of a similar situation, you know, with somebody that I'm close to, or I actually was, you know. I don't have too many people that I used to, but it's you know, I had a situation like that where this guy I knew, you know, he's going to court. He takes care of the kids, you know. They go visit him. He pays while they're there. Then they go to the mom, and you know everything is okay. The kids are being taken care of, but he's going to court for child support, and it's basically she's upset at him, so she's putting him through the ringer. So he basically looks at them, and he's like, man, I might lose this case, you know, even though he's taking care of his kids, you know. And he looked at the girl, and he looked at her. He said, "You know what? Hold on one second, guys." Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so he was in court, and then he looked at her when he saw her again. And he said, "You know what? Forget you and forget that child. I'll go have another one." You know. And I was like, "Whoa," you know. But I mean, it's like it's easy to look at him and be like, you know, "Oh, you're wrong. You're wrong." You know what I'm saying? But then it's like it's a whole lot of. It's like what the sister Zsa Zsa said. It goes a lot deeper. You know, it's just what he's been through or what he's seen other people been through, and it's just a wild thing, you know. And it's real sad. We gotta break that cycle, and I'll yield.
We truly do. We have to get like.
I just wonder, is that a good reason not to parent? You know, because the other parent is making it difficult for you, then you don't parent. You know, I think our motto should be parent anyway. You know, this person's getting on your nerves. Parent anyway. You know, you don't make enough money. Parent anyway. Because even if you don't make enough money, let's say you are giving that $430, and you know it's way more than that to take care of your children. Then why aren't you doing things to alleviate things financially for that mother, like picking up the child? Or if that child is sick, you staying home. You know, there are things that people can do to alleviate financial burdens for other people, but they won't do it. Now people can say that they're being taken through the ringer, but you're being taken through the court process, and that is hard, stressful. You have to spend money, you know, and all that. But I mean, it's your child. How can you walk away? Like, it's just. You know, parent anyway. And any woman who heard of this story should not even give him the time of day. You know, I did date a guy who was talking about, oh, yeah, my baby mama, this and that. He wanted to have a baby with me, okay, for some odd reason. I was like, what? And then and I was like, don't you already have a child? Like, hasn't that itch been scratched? Why are you sniffing around here? And he was like, oh, I just think we would make a pretty baby. Like, I mean, like, this is not like in my 20s. It's like in my 30s. Was I 30? I'm about to be. Anyway, you know, this is an older man talking this way. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to sign up to be your baby mama. Like, what do you think this is, right? But when I asked him about his son, well, my baby mama tripping. She won't let me see her, and she won't let me this and that. And I don't care. There's never been a good excuse that anybody has ever given me to not parent. Parent anyway. I don't want to hear it. You know, it's a bad situation. Then figure out how to work that situation out for the benefit of your child. I don't think that. I think that there are cycles and psychological issues, you know, that people may have, like, okay, I can't deal with this conflict, so I'm just going to fight or flight type of situation. But then you need to get yourself together and find a way to parent. And everybody around you should be telling you you should be a parent. You should be parenting. And you should be a freaking social outcast if you don't, you know. But we just don't have that. We have women who will enable men not to parent. Just like that woman who put a business in her name so this man could evade child support. Why?
That's sad. You know what? I believe that men fear the word, those two words, child support, for real. Men fear that word because and this is the truth. And we have to accept it. It's the truth. When they go to court, they do get treated, they get treated. They do get treated awfully bad. They truly do, and it's the truth. And you're gonna pay this, and you're gonna pay that, and a lot of men do get treated pretty bad. It's to the point where they do have to, you know, get a lawyer or somewhat to at least, you know, get some kind of savings going. You know, you don't know what this man. Again, I'm not all for the man, okay? I'm not all for the woman either. I'm all for, hey, you know, let's both be responsible with this. That's just bottom line. But men do fear child. Those two words, child support. And when they hear it, they hate that woman big time because now that's cutting into his money. And then not only that, but it could have just been a one-night stand. Like, bro, I don't even like you. I don't even know you. And now I'm stuck with you. Or I'm married. I'm doing this. I'm not trying to be funny, but I didn't see a lot of cases. And let's just be real with it. They hate it, and they don't want to have nothing to do with the kid. But then again, it's like the kid was the best thing that ever happened to him in the end. And it's the truth. They do have a lot of men do have a change of heart. They do. Some men do.
Yeah. Exactly, and I do feel like a woman, if she's gonna make that decision, you know, she needs to make it, you know, based off of what she can do, and you know, and being able to support her child in the meantime before she gets everything situated. So, you know, it just bugs me though that any parent would feel like, let me just put up the deuces and leave my child, like almost throw them to the wolves, you know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just one of those overprotective parents, but like even when my child is away with family, every day I'm calling. I don't even sleep right unless I know what she was wearing, what she ate, you know, those things. And it's just like, how do you just not even know what's going on with your child and sleep at night?
A lot of men are not. They know that the woman got it. They rely on the woman to take care of all that, honestly. You got some men like that, but you got some other men that are different, that they're very nurturing. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I knew this dude.
There are men that are nurturing.
You know,
I have a friend who was raised by her father, you know, and it wasn't like the mother was dead or something. She was raised by her father, and he was the more nurturing and better parent, you know, just was. But I think we just need to have our own mottos and slogans and campaigns. And so I'm suggesting that this one be parent anyway, both men and women. Parent anyway. Find a way to communicate. Find a way to co-parent. Find a way to do your part in your child's life.
Yep. Find a way to keep the system out of your life as well. Period. You know, try to do things amongst the both of you and so forth. If you know, I mean, if you need help or assistance, you know, I would literally go and see, okay, look, you know, we both have insurance. Talk to your insurance. The girl is pregnant. Okay, look, we both work. What would be our best bet? How much is our copay? And I mean, just confront the situation together. Don't never do things by yourself. Even whether you're going to end up or not end up together, confront the situation together for a better outcome. You do that while the woman is pregnant, while the both of you is pregnant, you'll have a better outcome. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. Now, Zsa Zsa, this is the reason why a lot of women are forced to go to the system and get help, because you had an agreement between each other. Oh, he's going to give me $400 a month, or he's going to pay the daycare, and I'm going to take care of everything else, right? Okay. So then one month is like, oh, man, this came up. I got to get you next month. Oh, man, this came up. I'll get you in a week. You know, these things where the mother can no longer depend on this person, you know. Now new girlfriend comes in and she got kids. Oh man, my money is getting shorter because now his cash flow is affected because he's in her house probably staying with her, and he does for the kids as a way to, you know, secure his spot in the home, right? So now he's losing out on money. And so I mean, these are the things that happen. You know, my father had 12 kids, and sometimes we would not get our money, right? And so when we went to New York, we thought everybody had their hand out. My nieces, my nephews, my brothers and sisters, everybody had their hand out. And we was like, this is why we don't get money, you know? So, I mean, after so many times, it's like, and then sometimes she gets a new boyfriend. Have that dude do it. You know what I'm saying? And then what does that have to do with anything?
Mm-hmm.
So then it becomes a thing where now I have to put these people in your life because you're playing mine. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes resentful, it becomes bitter and stuff like that, because people were already that way before they even went. And then they treat women like crap. When you call, and they treat you like, do you even know your baby father? One of my friends called, and they was like, do you even know his Social Security? Now, keep in mind, this is somebody who was in long-term relationship, and so she's married, okay, and being treated this way.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, you know, it's flaws
in a situation,
everywhere.
Right. But you know what? In a situation like that where the father, okay, so you're not taking care of our kid because you're taking care of somebody else's responsibility. See, now that, I'm going to child support. I'm going to get mine, you know, because their dad needs to be responsible for those kids. You're going to be responsible for our
But he might be doing
child.
that to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? He might be taking care of those other kids to pay the rent.
Honey,
you know what I'm saying? Some people need a place to stay.
I get it. No, I get that. I get that, but that's not, that ain't got nothing to do with me. This right here, you know, we were here first. You know, you got to handle this right here. You shouldn't have jumped in something that you knew you can't afford. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that goes for any man or a woman. Stop having kids you can't afford. And I mean that. Mm-hmm. No, I'm serious. That's why I stopped at one. I stopped at one kid because I knew I have another one. I ain't going to have nothing to wear because this one took everything. I'm serious. And I said, because I don't believe in abortion. So I said, well, I'm not having no more. Close your legs, Miss Lovett, and I was done. I'm not having no more kids. And that's what I did. You know, but and unfortunately, you know, I would have loved to have more, but you know what? Unmarried and unstable? No. One was more than enough. I'm serious. And I'm going to be honest, and I don't mean no harm, but he wasn't even supposed to come along either. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I was protected. That dude did it on purpose. He got me pregnant. And I'm not going to go into detail, but
happen for people out there.
That
does happen. That slip off.
Yeah. So if you did that, you're going to have to pay.
Brothers poke some holes in there, John.
Shoot, man, he took. No, you know what? A lot of men, I got it on, and they take it off. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
to leave you with the memory.
And then
you know,
people are like,
whatever.
you should know, you should do, you should not if you you know, having fun. You are not gonna be like, oh, let me check. Oh, you know, you're supposed to be able to check that first. Exactly my point right there. You know, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. You know, ladies, be responsible as well. There's nothing wrong with, you know, I don't condone, I mean, of course, unmarital sex, but I mean, there's a lot of women that are like, hey, I'm going to do this because it's what I want. Okay, well, there's consequences with that. You can get pregnant, you can catch any a disease, you catch anything, and that's a long-term suffering. Either way it goes. So whichever one you want to do is fine. But there's consequences to everything. And not only that, but do you want to wind up with a man like that? A guy or a female like that? No, you don't want that. And that goes for both men and women. And I'm serious. Like, this is serious. You're going to end up with somebody that literally you're like, whoa, what the hell did I do? What did I end up with? I end up with some garbage, man. This is not even my style. Well, apparently it was. I mean, you know, we have to be very careful with everything that we do, man. You just can't, you know, and then a kid comes along, you look just like him. Duh. Or you look just like her. Well, duh. He didn't ask to be here. Now it's time for somebody going to take care of him. That's just
they get a little.
Yeah.
We got to start focusing more on. I want to say courtship, but I really don't mean like you know, intimately involved like that. You know,
right.
where you feel a person out and you get to know them before you actually decide if you're gonna, you know, get hitched up with them, because these short-term decisions. They kill us in the long run. Go ahead.
And ask how many kids they have. You know, and
right.
I'm not trying to be funny. A lot of men that are single, a lot of men that are like they want to belong to a family and stuff. They'll settle for, you know, for a woman. I mean, and I don't have nothing. I promise. I have nothing against for the woman that has 5 and 6 kids, because apparently she's been a victim as well. And I'm not trying to be funny, but she's probably just say, you know, maybe if I just have his baby, I get to keep him. You don't keep him, man, by having all these kids. I promise you. That's when they leave. That's when they leave. When you have a baby, they're like, bye-bye, I'm gone. A lot of men don't want that. They don't want that.
But then you have to wonder who's the third, the fourth, and the fifth guy who got this woman pregnant. Like, did they not already see kids there? And is that the best thing that you could think to do, is knock her up again? You know, and I'm seeing this mainly with a lot of our young girls. I'm like, well, why do you have a baby by everybody you with? You know, like, I mean, do you know how many babies you're about to have? And then why are these young men walking up to you, see you with kids, and you're not living in a lap of luxury? You're only 20-something with 3 kids already, and the next thing they want to do is come have a baby. Is it because they feel like you're fertile and you're down to have babies? Is that the message that you're sending out there when you have that many kids? You know? I don't know.
A lot of men abuse of that, and they like to come in and pop one, and another one come in, they pop another one, and she end up with 5, 6 different kids. And then for when they go to court, well, ma'am, you know, you need a paternity test for how many children. You know, that I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but that'll be a little bit embarrassing. And I would love it if a lot of these ladies would stop allowing this to happen to them. I don't understand. I believe that they might think that they're going to be loved and their children are going to be welcome if they spread their legs open and let a guy enjoy them. I don't think so. That's not the way it is nowadays. They want to have fun, drop a little baby for you, and be done. And you probably won't even know who he is, or he gone. He didn't lie to you. He didn't tell you a different name. Now you can't find him. Nah.
But you know, the women want to just have fun nowadays too, though. You know?
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy. Everybody in the videos, I got to be that video vixen girl. everybody likes her. I want to be like her. It's weird. It's weird. We got the TV and the radio raising these kids and not the parents, and it just continues the cycle, and it not only gets worse.
And now you have so many different lanes. You have social media. You have all types of different avenues where people are, and lanes that you can be in if you work hard enough at it, So, and these kids are actually doing that. So. I don't know.
It's a very disgusting. It's very disgusting what we have to witness. I'm just very. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very glad that that I was able to be like, oh, whoa, I'm not having any more. I got scared, man. When I'm not gonna lie, when I got pregnant, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna abort my baby. I was actually one of the happiest women that I was like, wow, because everybody else that got pregnant, everybody used to cry and everything. I'm like, nah, I'm going to get a job and take care of mine, because when I told the father, he was just like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, no problem. Peace out. I took care of mine. But either way it went, I still was like, I gave him a little bit of time to see if he was going to, he was trying to act like a little dog or whatever. But it didn't work. He ended up, having to pay, of course, his little child support. But it was like on and off. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, I was just like, dude, I don't even know why you bother. And I even told the court, I'm tired of coming into court, and you guys can't make him pay anyway. He's not going to pay nothing. Got tired. I said, I'm having to leave work to come here, and he's not paying nothing.
We forgot to dispel this, men. Men are going to jail in droves for not paying child support. That is not true. Only 14% of men have actually went to jail for not paying child support. And most of the times when it's related to child support, it's because you didn't show up to court and there's bench warrants out. So of that 14%, right? Most of it is people who owe $10,000 or more. So if you keep that arrears or not going and checking and seeing if that child is yours, if you want, you will be in arrears from when that child was born, unless the mother waives it. So, and so you find out as soon as possible. I'm going to help the man because I know people feel like I'm a. Huh?
I said numbers, man. You need like 15, 6, 7, 9%.
Oh no, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this this has been a debated issue for me for a long time. Before I had kids, when I got into teaching, I was like, well, what is going on here? And so I started doing research. But
I heard that.
I got the numbers.
I know who to come to if I would need some numbers. I'll tell you that.
Well, I didn't have a child until I was 35. So, and I was doing so looking at everybody around me like, goodness gracious. But guess what you start doing? You have to start help taking care of kids that are not even yours, because people not stepping up. And that's a problem. And that's what you do as a teacher and just as a black woman, period. But, only 14% are going in jail, and most of them, they owe $10,000 or more or have multiple kids. And unfortunately, who normally falls in that demographic is minority men. So this is why we might see it or experience it more in our community, plus our community is smaller. You'll say, so much jail because of child support, and he may have gone to jail for child support or the fact that he missed an important court appearance and got a bench warrant. But, so men are not going to jail in droves for child support. And even then, the woman has to say, hey, go get him, in some states. Some states, they will just come and get you, especially if they are giving what is that called? They're giving assistance. They'll come and get you. In some states, they'll make the call because they're the other parent to your child. And then in some states, the woman has to say, okay, yeah, go get him. Yeah. So, I mean, what's nothing from nothing? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm shooting myself in the foot by putting you in jail because you're not giving me nothing anyway. So we just got to make better decisions.
So it's kind of foul.
I'm just saying, but I'm just saying that's how some people think, and so it's like we have to make better. We have to arm our boys with the fact, look, this is where your role ends. This is what you do if you get somebody pregnant. Start giving them money on a monthly basis and keep receipts. Start emailing instead of talking on the phone. Text is okay, and start keeping those too. When you show up to court for child support or whatever, have those in hand and say, I pay this amount. The court will respect you more if you try to do something, And gifts don't count. Buying your children coats or a bicycle for Christmas and stuff like that are considered gifts. Money going towards raising your child is actual every month a given amount or a big bill such as child care is paid.
There's another one. You had to go to court too. If you're not legally married to somebody and you have a kid, you got to go to court and file for joint custody. Otherwise, you're not going to be there. You don't get joint custody automatically, at least not in California. I had to find that out.
I don't think anywhere you get joint. I mean, it's some places it's presumed that the mother is, but in most places like Texas, Colorado, found this out, and one of my friends went to jail because the father of her child would not give her back the child after his agreed upon patient, and she bonded up her car in his house. Yep. Because she was so frantic about not getting her child back, she felt like somebody was stealing her child. And she went to jail. And they said, we cannot, you don't have any established custody, so both of you are the person. The same thing with my cousin and his wife, who had a daughter from somebody else. Him and his wife went and picked up the girl from the school and, kidnapped her for a few months. And there was nothing that they could do because they didn't have an established custody agreement. So that's just something that you should do automatically, is get that.
All right, family, going to pretty much have to wrap this up, y'all. We winding down real quick. And once again, a powerful conversation. Yeah, I brought out a lot of great content. Sheek, you hosted this program, so I appreciate you bringing out your information and all your questions. But let's get some last words from everybody. Let's go to Vinny D. Last words. Hey, Vinny D, you there, Vinny?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me now? I was on mute. Peace to everybody. Thanks for sharing the panel. It was another good build, another great conversation. A lot of information came out. Thanks to the callers for calling in. Thanks for everybody listening and supporting the show. Also, Sal, thanks for having the platform so we could get on here and, speak our piece. To the sisters, Jennifer, Sister Jennifer, Sister Zsa Zsa, and then Sister Sheek. Peace to you guys as well. Also, Brother Moore. And also, peace to the Sister Reese, who couldn't make it. Great build. Looking forward to the next one. And, hopefully this conversation touched somebody in a good way. And have a good night. Peace.
We appreciate you, Vinny D. Zsa Zsa, last word, Zsa Zsa.
Yes, I just want to say to the ladies and gentlemen, just hang in there, get to know each other. Don't give it up. Don't give in either. And I also want to say to the gentlemen, if you get a woman pregnant, take responsibility and just go put yourself on child support. It looks better on you. It'll look so much better and be more responsible. To the both of you, be more responsible. Know who you're dealing with. And I'm out. And, yes, and also thank you so much, Sal, for the invite and having me on your show. And the sisters and brothers, thank you so much for everything. Appreciate it. Great show.
I appreciate you coming on. Sheek, last words.
I want to thank all the co-hosts and Sal for being very patient with me as I make a transition in my career. I'm sleeping like a narcoleptic, and I just zone out. So definitely looking forward to more conversations. This is an important topic, and we need to arm our boys and girls to the consequences of laying down with someone and creating life. We also need to work on giving our children or acquiring the skills if we do not have them ourselves, and sharing with our children how to use those skills to build better relationships, because child support is really just a result of not having those skills. I think that we need a cultural and community shift to staying parent anyway, and not receiving or accepting excuses for any parent, man, woman, for not parenting. And so I want to say peace to the panel, peace to Style. Thank you for this opportunity, and everyone have a good night.